Hey, Pastor Scott here with a word of encouragement. I read a fascinating account in the Old Testament this week in the book of Isaiah in the 7th chapter. So let me set up the scene. So Ahaz is the king of Judah, and there are two other armies that say, we're going to come up and we're going to fight for Jerusalem. And then scripture says they were not able to overpower it. Well, then Ahaz gets word that the two armies are going to add a third army. And I love how scripture describes the situation of Ahaz and the people. They were shaken as the trees in the forest are shaken by the wind. And then in the midst of this, God calls Isaiah to go out and meet Ahaz and to say to him, be careful, keep calm, and don't be afraid. Do not lose heart because of these enemies. And then as the enemies continue to plot, God says this, it's not going to happen. This is not going to take place. And then God speaks the future to Ahaz and Judah of their enemies. And then he says to Ahaz, if you do not stand firm in your faith, you will not stand at all. And so God must have seen how Ahaz and the people were struggling as they were envisioning their near future of themselves and their land in the hands of these merciless invaders. So God speaks again. And I love this. God says, ask the Lord your God for a sign. Whether it's in the deepest of the depths or in the highest heights, whatever it is, you ask for it. I know you got to be afraid. I know this must be difficult. I know it must be hard to hang on in your circumstances right now. So come on, give me something. Ask me anything, God says, anything that you think might help you stay firm in your faith. I don't care what it is, whether it's in the deepest depths or the highest heights. Just ask me. Come on. And then we read this in the 12th verse, but Ahaz said, I will not ask, I will not put the Lord to the test. Man, it's a heck of a time to get righteous, isn't it? So let me ask you this. What would you have asked for in that moment? In the circumstances that you find yourself right now, what sign would you ask for from God that you believe would calm you and allay all your fears? And God says, well, since you're not going to ask, I'm going to give you a sign. I'm going to give you a sign that's going to calm your hearts, and it's going to encourage you, and it's going to give you hope. I'm going to give you a sign that will give you an assurance and a certainty that you're never, ever going to get on this world. And since I get to pick, here's your sign. A virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will call him Emmanuel, God with us. Nearly 600 years before the birth of Jesus, his birth is prophesied. God says, my son is my son. A son who is full of my presence, who is full of my power and my holiness and my might and my justice and my grace and my love for you. And just to drive the point home, I'm going to name him Emmanuel, which means God with us, me with you. So listen, wherever you are right now, whatever you're up against, whatever you're struggling with, God has given you and me the sign of all signs, himself, in a son. So look to Jesus, because that's where you're going to find your peace and your hope and your encouragement. Be blessed.